Okay, what's up, folks? Rich Fantastic with you, giving you the recap of the Monday night game. The Detroit Lions coming away with a 24-10 victory over the New York Giants. The Lions are now 2-0, and the New York Giants dropped to 0-2. The box score first for the visiting Lions: Matthew Stafford, 15-21, 122 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. We're going to talk about that in a minute, as far as the Giants holding a quarterback to that performance and not really being in any chance of winning this game. There were some points maybe, but for the most part, Detroit was in control. Amir Abdullah running the ball, 17 carries, 86 yards, 5.1 yards per rush. Matthew Stafford, 3 of 23. Some of those were on scrambles, 7.7 yards per rush. Theo Riddick, 9 for 22.2. Dwayne Washington, 3 of 9, 3 yards per carry. Altogether, 32 of 138. That's 4.3 yards per rush. Not quite the distribution I was expecting, or maybe I should have expected more like this. Stafford still distributed the ball. Eric Ebron, 5 of 42, a touchdown. Marvin Jones Jr. had a 27-yard touchdown reception. Golden Tate, 4 for 25. Theo Riddick, 3 of 17. 6 guys caught passes. 3 of them were above 2. So against the tough Giants secondary and defense, that's still a distribution, so it still speaks to the Lions, what they're doing, the quantity over quality, as I said. Stafford did lose a fumble. Ezekiel Ansah, good in this game, had 6 tackles and 3 sacks. Jared Davis had 1 sack. Lodi Nada also had a sack for the 5 total. Tamir Whitehead had an 18-yard interception return. It was not for a touchdown. Jamil Agnew had 1 kick return for 15 yards. He also had 3 punt returns for 101 yards. That's a 33.7 average. One of them was an 88-yard touchdown. However, so you take that off, that's 2 for 13. So you see why the numbers are so high. That touchdown really sealed it. It put it from 17-10 to 24-10, and that was the final. Matt Prater made his only field goal. For the Giants, Eli Manning, really not terrible again in this game. It just looks a lot worse than he's really playing. 22 of 32, 239 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Giants, Shane Vereen, 6 carries, 28 yards, 4.7 yards per rush. Orleans Dirkwa, 3 for 17, that's 5.7. The team altogether 18 of 62, which is 3.4. But your top guys go 9 for 45. That's 5 yards per carry. New York abandoned it. They kind of had to at some points, but still, we'll talk about that at the end. A lot of guys caught passes for the Giants. Evan Ingram, 4 for 49, had a touchdown. Jarrell Adams, 1 of 38. Odell Beckham Jr. did play, 4 of 36. Shane Vereen, 3 of 27. Brandon Marshall only had 1 17-yard catch. He dropped a pass that was big in this game. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys caught passes for the Giants in this game. Devin Kennard recovered a fumble. Eli Manning fumbled. He recovered it. Calvin Munson, Jason Pierre-Paul, Kerry Wynn all had the 3 sacks, no interceptions. Dwayne Harris had a 21-yard punt return, or a 21-yard kick return, 2 punt returns for 9 yards. Aldrick Rosas was 1 for 1 in his field goals. So we'll start with the Lions. Quality victory for them, going on the road against a playoff team, getting off to a 2-0 start. I picked the Lions to go to the playoffs this year. One of the reasons I picked them in this game, kind of had to, because I'm relying on them to make the playoffs. I like what this team is doing. Matthew Stafford wasn't great in this game. He certainly was by no means terrible. He just took what the defense gave him and made plays and got the job done. It was really that big punt return. All in all, it was the defense or Giants offense. The defense for Detroit or the Giants offense, however you want to look at it. Look, the Giants are 0-2. They've won Super Bowls, and won Super Bowl in 2007, which they actually celebrated the 10-year anniversary of when they started 0-2. It's not the end of the world. They do have some serious concerns on this team, but you look, they were able to run the ball fairly effectively with the top 2 guys. But Paul Perkins was 7 for 10. So do you start going to more of a consistent running back? Paul Perkins was supposed to be the guy, and he struggled. So there's some positives, but some negatives with the running game in there. Let's see what the Giants decide to do if they go to an individual runner. Their offensive line, of course, was not good. Gave up 5 sacks. Ezekiel Ansah really had his way. with Flowers in this game. John Gruden made the mention, might not be a bad idea moving Flowers to the right side. Certainly you might see some shakeups, but the Giants have to figure out a way to snap out of it. It is not the end of the world, though, and let's see what they can do. But a nice victory for Detroit. As for the Giants, look, you played two playoff teams from last year. You started out 0-2. You didn't have an easy schedule to start off the season. It is not going to get much easier, though, over their next 4 or 5, let's look at it. They go on the road for Philly, they go on the road for Tampa Bay, so 3 of their first 4 on the road. The Chargers at home, then on the road for the Broncos. So 4 of their first 6 are on the road. Then they come back home for the Seahawks before it starts to soften up a little bit, but it doesn't soften up for long. So the Giants, look, you can be concerned if you want. I think they're going to figure out something in this game. Clearly, it's a big game against the Eagles next week. They have a tough early season schedule. If they can just find a way to get through it, let's see what happens moving forward for them. But those things like maybe moving Flowers to the right side of the line, maybe just trying to find a more consistent runner and go with who's ever getting the job done and not try to do it by committee. All things to keep an eye on. All right, I'll almost certainly do the injury report, just the major injuries tomorrow as we did last week. Remember, we appreciate all subscriptions as well. Be sure to stay tuned for that injury tomorrow. And then any other flash news or not, we'll then be back on Thursday, but be sure to stay tuned. Thank you all so much. We'll see you next time.